Today we are taking a look at Suncrest, ridden from south to north along the Wasatch Front. This is a 3.46 mile segment with just shy of 1,000 feet of elevation gain at an average of 5.2%. This is a Category 3 climb located near Lehi, Utah. We're going to take a little ride along here to give you kind of an idea of this segment. This is going to be part of a new series, not necessarily focused on racing performance, but rather just riding and enjoying the scenery, giving everybody who either lives in Utah some new roads to ride. If you're visiting Utah, then some new roads that you can put on your bucket list. And hopefully none of these roads will be too dangerous. They should all be fairly well-traveled cycling routes. You can see here the speed limit on this road is about 40 miles an hour. And there's a plenty wide shoulder and 2 lanes, so you really don't have any issues with cars on this road. I am riding a little bit closer to the inside. That's because of my buddy CR right here, who is coming around me on the right. We're riding this road in February, so you can see there is snow on the side of the roads. Suncrest does get up high enough in elevation that you're typically over that kind of inversion or fog line that we get in Utah sometimes. And it does keep snow on it longer than other areas. And as a result of that, you can see a lot of kind of this salt runoff here from where the snow plows have gone through and cleared the road and salted it to make sure that it is not icy. But with that snow, you get a little bit of water that often comes across onto the road. Fortunately, it is a well-maintained road, pretty smooth, not a lot of potholes, and not a lot of debris to worry about. I will say Suncrest is known for being one of the places that you can hit a lot of top speeds coming down, either side, south or north, but it is also one of the places that is more well known for getting some significant wind and crosswind, especially as you kind of come around some of these corners. When you're going uphill, it's really not a big concern. The wind will either speed you up or slow you down, but that's about it. The wind can be more of a factor, particularly going down the north side of this, which we'll get to in just a little bit here as we get to the top. The wind can be a little bit more of a factor there, where if you have deep wheels, you will feel some of that side gust. And if that's a sensation that scares you, just know you're not alone. A lot of people do not like the feeling of being blown around, especially when you're going at a pretty good clip down the road. The good news is it's usually a fairly predictable wind. You know where the gusts are going to come after you've ridden it a couple times, and I'll try to point those out once we get to the downhill section. The nice thing about this climb here on the south to north side is it does give you just a few little rest segments. So right here you can see just the gradient levels out for just a moment, just long enough to let your legs relax and your lungs breathe. The downside being that if you're going for a PR, then you're just going to have to push straight through it and try to pick up some speed to carry you through this next section. There are a lot of little neighborhoods and developments up in this area, so there is always some traffic, but like I mentioned before, it is a nice open 2-lane road with a good shoulder. So you really don't get many issues from cars unless you're riding in a big group, in which case you just need to be courteous and make sure you're sticking to the right of the road and as close to this white line as possible. Depending on the time of year, the wind directions and strengths will be different. Early in the winter time like this, the wind is usually pretty mild, unless it's kind of a transition day from cold to warm or warm to cold. So fortunately today, not a lot of wind, just a good time to go ride. And I do love Suncrest because it is such a perfect length and distance, elevation. You can really get some good efforts on it. Plus the scenery is amazing. You get to see a lot of the mountains, and you'll see what I'm talking about, especially as we come around the very top of this climb. You just get to see the whole valley, and it's pretty neat to see. This is the final kick. So you get this one little flat section right before this final kicker to the top. And if you're pushing, this is where you start to really feel it in your legs. This is maybe only 6 or 7%, but it feels like so much more if you've been pushing for 20 minutes. I believe the fastest time, the KOM is around 13 minutes for the men and 15, 16 minutes for the women. So it's not insignificant, but it is a tough climb. And here we go on the downhill, and I'll point out some of those areas where I said you need to be a little careful about the wind. But check out this view as you're going down. It's an awesome view to see. All of the houses, all the way across the valley. And if you're coming down the south side, you can easily see Utah Lake out in the distance. So coming down here around this first bend, this is where you'll first start to really feel that wind pick up just a little bit, especially if it's a wind that's going up the mountain. And you feel it a little bit here, but where you really feel it is right here where this side kind of drops off on your right, and you just get these crosswinds right across this section here is probably one of the worst. Once you make it through that section, it's really not too bad. It's just the upper section where it's more exposed. After that, you can pretty much just let go and have fun. Just blast your way down the hill. If you have shallow rims, it really is not bad at all. I'm just saying that for some of the deeper rim folks that like to pick up the extra speed on the flat, they'll notice a little bit more on the downhill. If it's a windy day, if it's a calm day, then you won't have any issues with it. On this downhill, depending on how brave you are, I'd say you'd average between 30 and 50 miles an hour. And that's about it. Thanks for riding along with Suncrest, and I hope you enjoy more of this Ride Utah series where we'll be exploring a lot of local segments.